Hallo Wuppertal! Make some noise! You know the drill. Welcome everyone to the second week of the Solar Decathlon Europe here on the Solar Campus in Wuppertal. Great to see you all again. I mean, I haven't seen you for 4 days, and I was like, it feels like such a long time. I'm happy to be back. Great to have you here. Welcome. This is the second week of the Solar Decathlon, and the first award of this week. Today, we're about to announce the winners, the first 3 winners of the Affordability and Viability Award. I'm happy to be accompanied again by very competent people, and in order to answer the question what the Affordability and Viability Award is about, please welcome with me the researcher, architect and film producer who is specialized in sustainable architecture. She's head of organizations of Wonderland, which is a platform of European architecture. Please welcome with me Bahanur Nasya. Enjoy.
This topic is very important for us because it's not about only sustainability, but also ensures that our projects are sustainable in terms of economics, but also in terms of social life. So we are pleased to look at your projects from the perspective, what does your project really do for your target groups? For the people who are living in your project or who are living around your project. So this part was one of the main criteria for our evaluation. And the second one, if we consider a certain group of people living in your project, is the project really affordable in maintenance, in regular life? How do the costs look like? Can the people who live there really afford it? And also, is it adding any economic value to the owners? So these were the points which we tried to evaluate. We were 3, but we have the tradition to be always 2 at the same time. So today I'm talking with Anne Decathlon, and Guido Spars left us, but we made sure that we look into your projects in detail and look, is it really addressing the needs of the people? So that was our point. We enjoyed a lot your projects, and let's see what comes us next.
Next on stage is the co-founder of the International Architecture Office based in Paris, Lacaton and Vassal. From early on, this office focused on sustainable architecture. Like, when did you found your office? Ages ago. Okay, so from early on, they focused on sustainable architecture, and they have won numerous international awards. Recently, they won the Pritzker Prize of Architecture, which is viewed as the Nobel Prize of Architecture. Please welcome with me Anne Lacaton.
Thank you very much. It was a great pleasure to be here these last 2 days, and I'm absolutely impressed by the very good atmosphere and the friendly atmosphere. I was very happy to see that there is absolutely no spirit of competition, but just a great spirit of participation. So thank you very much for these 2 days and for the great job that you did. So now I will do a very short lecture. I want to present some of our works and our approach through two very important topics that really drive our philosophy and our project, which is inhabiting and transformation. So architecture is about freedom, generosity, pleasure, and our philosophy for all the project is based on the principle of generosity, of space, of economy, serving the life, the uses, and appropriation, with the objective of inventing beyond standards to make architecture pleasant, efficient, affordable for everyone, and sustainable. We always keep in mind, in designing the projects, that architecture, beyond important goals to achieve, like sustainability, construction, economy, energy efficiency, low carbon footprint, beyond all of this, architecture has, first of all, to build spaces for living, to build dreams, to build freedom and possibility of escape for the occupants. We define this by the word inhabiting, habiter, which is for us one of the fundamental concepts in architecture. Inhabiting refers to the pleasure, to the generosity and freedom of occupying a space beyond the functional. Inhabiting places people and uses at the center of a project, and this is not in contradiction with all other efficient topics. Our aim is to design the projects, in designing the project, is to create spaces for use, spaces for life, for study, for work. A space for living must be generous, comfortable, adaptable, flexible, luxurious, affordable, and offers freedom of usage to generate appropriation. Housing must offer as much extra space as program space to promote relationships within spaces to bring about pleasurable situation. Extra space is a space non-program, free for use. It means building double with the same cost as a standard dwelling to be affordable for everyone. Just a few examples of some projects that we have built over this last 30 years. This was our first house, very economical for a family of workers. And this house was also very sustainable because we used very simple techniques as greenhouses to capture the energy and make the house very cheap in the consumption of energy. And also it's due to the spaces and the generosity of space, it also offers conditions of appropriation. In the same spirit, social housing, it's 14 rented social housing. So social housing subsidized by public subsidies. And we made, as for a house, to try to make the same qualities of living. More space, a bioclimatic architecture with very simple tools, absolutely no technology, and extra space like this greenhouse, which is also a thermal buffer zone, efficient as in summer as well as in winter, and based on a very simple approach of what the climate can bring to architecture. For the same clients in the same city, a more dense housing project closer to the city center, but with the same intentions of giving more space, as we think also that private space has not to be reduced in favor to community space. Both are equally important, and we have to do the same in the equal quantity. So this kind of space has a winter garden that again is energetically efficient, but also is a wonderful space for use and for appropriation, as it is an extra space without any basic function. More recently, in a closer city in the east of France, 18 new seniors dwelling It's for, in a way, young seniors that want to leave their house, which is too big for to live in a closer community, and it's 18 apartments with the interior surface, which is doubled by winter garden or terraces to allow this quality of life and this feeling of freedom while being in collective housing. Or in a very different context, in Geneva, Switzerland, this tower in a dense part of the city of 101 dwellings. And here we approach the sustainability and energy saving by all this double facade that runs around all the apartments and that create again this quality of living as an extension of the interior space with intermediate space plus a balcony. And that gives this freedom of escape because you see very far away without suffering from the climate when it's too hard. But inhabiting is not only for housing, it's also for any space of public use, like a school. It's a space where the freedom allows to, and the space allows to invent uses. This is a school of architecture where double space and program space offer the structure to invent uses. So as for a house, a program needs extra space to develop uses that normally are not taken in account in any program. It's a public use, it's collaboration, exhibition. And all this requires an extra space that should be added to the program. And how to provide this extra space without increasing budgets and without also taking care to the use of materials, reduction of the amount of quantity. And also with a kind of flexibility and reversibility in the future. It's also what is required today to the construction, how it could have many cycles of life over the next 20, 40, 50 years. And we think that it's about first creating very capable structures, very intelligent structure that would allow to propose different uses in the future. So you see here that the structure offers twice more volume than the program, which is in green, and in blue it's the extra space that allows many uses and also many initiatives of the users, of the students, that probably they could not have with just a minimum program. So this large space for models, or this auditorium, which is also a stage for shows, for theater. But this extra space that sometimes is empty, ready to make something, or sometimes full of activities which are negotiated between the user. And this is the interest of the extra space, is that it's as for a community space, it requires a negotiation or discussion between the different users. So this space allows a variety of uses, which is absolutely out of program, but probably it's there that, as for in a house, the most interesting part of the life happens. I'm sorry, I go quite fast because the time is limited. But also this exterior circulation, which is used also as a kind of public space that allows to go to the roof, which is used as a big square at the scale of the city, many times often to open to any public, where sometimes in summer there are an open air cinema, all of this organized and implemented by the students. The second topic, which is very important for us, it's about the transformation. Transformation means make with the existing and not against. Make with nature, with the trees, soils, flowers, animals, with everything already there. So it's a project of a house that we have to build in the forest along the seaside. And the worry in this case of project is that you damage the space, the site, and afterwards it's worse than before. So the challenge was here how to keep the forest, how to keep the ground safe, and at the same time building a construction. So the construction keeps all the trees, and it creates this kind of events, which is not staged, but just a regular construction that at one moment meets the logic of the nature, and the construction disappears in favor of the landscape. Make with the value of the space, of the place, and this place was a square in the city of Bordeaux, and we were asked to make the square more beautiful. So it was meant to make new pavements, new lights, new benches, more design of furniture. But finally, after 4 months of study, of being there, of looking, observing, we came back to the city, to the client, and we said, at the question how we can make this space more beautiful, our response is, the project is to make nothing. Making with abandoned buildings, to reuse, to re-give life, to reinvent uses. That was the purpose of this competition in the north of France. Reuse of an industrial hall for a space for art. And this was the only building remaining from a large shipyard, absolutely destroyed in the 80s, and just this one was kept. And we were supposed to fill it with a new art center with 7,000 square meters of reserves and exhibition spaces. So, but when they opened the door, we discovered this amazing, wonderful void. And immediately we had a kind of intuition that filling the void was a mistake. So we did the exercise, but our intuition was always coming back. And finally, we decided to keep the void and to build the new program as a twin, a new building exactly of the same form, and just add it to the other one. Both of them, they complete. They never compete, but they complete to offer more facilities. So the main hall has been conserved as a huge space for exhibitions, but also any public uses, while the other part has been designed for the program, and with also the condition requested inside for the conservation of artworks. And this last level, because we use also the principle of double envelope, which is very efficient to work naturally with climate. And this space is not in the program, but it's a wonderful public space where also some exhibition can take place. Transformation of housing blocks, it's also a topic in which we are much involved since more than 20 years. How to upgrade quality of these places which very often are rejected, most often in the suburbs, to extend living space, to increase the pleasure and the comfort, to do more with less and with and for inhabitants. So the housing transformation is also an opportunity to increase massively in the cities the quality of housing with less money, because we have already an existing, and also to bring them in a new cycle of life, but with and for the inhabitants. And this work was also in reaction to a national program in France that started in 2000, which was about the demolition of a huge number of housing, something like 200,000. And we tried to make a study to see how an alternative solution was possible by transformation. And while the state spent more than 165,000 euros per dwelling to demolish and rebuild, our study arrived to the conclusion that with 55,000 per dwelling, we could improve and transform in the best way all these neighborhoods. And finally, we took this quite radical position, but facing the radical position of transformation, facing the radical position of demolition. So we said never demolish, never subtract, replace or remove, always add, transform, utilize with and for the inhabitants. So we did this research, that was a number of case studies that we did. And more recently, we could make a number of realization, but it was very hard to convince anybody that it was the right solution. This a large neighborhood in the city of Bordeaux. And we had to work on 3 of these kind of buildings, very significant of the 60s, 70s housing neighborhoods. And we had to, the project was how to improve the thermal quality of these neighborhoods. So for us it was important to consider that, we should make more than just a technical renovation. We should improve for a new cycle of life the quality of housing. So the work starts from the inside, from checking the values, checking the qualities, and also checking what is missing that we should add or that we should improve during the renovation. And the second thing was to propose that we should make this transformation without removing the inhabitants, so with occupied site. So what we proposed was not to touch anything inside in terms of walls, but just to repair, to renovate bathrooms, electricity, all what was too old, stairs, elevators, and to make an addition to give this extra space that was missing from the beginning, and that would give a new pleasure of life and a new quality to these neighborhoods. So we propose this extension by, without, of course, increasing the initial budget, which was about 52,000 euros per dwelling. We propose to build these additional extensions that was prefabricated and built in front to provide with this extra space, the change of the existing facade to allow to open to all of this, and to give this opportunity for every inhabitant to have this extra space without increase of the rent, because in fact the addition rent plus charges remain similar. And the transformation of this neighborhood, starting from inside, it's very important to consider that it's not just a new cladding, but it's an upgrade of the general quality of living for the next decades. And it provides with this new quality, with this winter garden, with all these basic systems as double facade, different curtains that allow to the inhabitants to manage themselves the comfort by manipulating the openings, the curtains. And in fact, we can observe that all this gesture, they come back very fast to the inhabitants. And this is from the existing situation, the improvement, which is defined by this construction. So all this, we have a number of places in the city which is absolutely huge. So we see how much work we have to improve massively the quality of these neighborhoods. And it's very interesting that the Solar Decathlon is now moving to these new topics of not only doing exceptional new housing or new construction with all the requirements of sustainability, but also think how, at the same time, we can also improve the existing to the same level. Because if we don't think to this good balance, to this good equity, probably we have no chance that the improvement benefits in a good, for the social life and for the good relationship in the society. So I will stop here because I think I'm done. Thank you very much. So, we're good.
Thank you, Anne Lacaton.
Thank you.
That was the first of 2 lectures, and I'm happy to re-announce to the stage for the second lecture, Bahadur Nasya.
Okay. Cheers. My first slide is dedicated for all the teams who came from their university, who struggled so many weeks and months to build up these great examples how sustainability can be achieved. It's amazing to see what kind of ideas you put together and how does it feel in being in these spaces. So I'm speaking a little bit also for Guido's parts. We have the perspective of architect, economist, filmmaker, and we try to not look on the architecture, but see what those spaces could enable, how they would be possibly change our lives, how they would bring us to a sustainable culture and living mode. So, first of all, thanks for your contribution, thanks for your ideas, and continue working so you can make a difference. The future is yours. You have to make sure that you succeed with your ideas. I think that's very important, that you do not stop here, no matter what the points and prices look like. Your situation remembers me a little bit of Edward Seuss. So in the 19th century, the situation in Vienna was very, very hard. So there were a lot of disease, epidemics. Everyone knew the population was suffering, and we had really issues to address. But there was no power, no will of decision making, and no money. So what Edward managed with a commission was to find an idea, to find a solution to the water problem in Vienna. So we had the situation, the rich ones, the royal families, had secured great water, but the population was sick of bad water quality. And it took his team years. They proposed to the mayor. The mayor was like, oh, we don't have money, we don't have the resources. So it was off the table. But luckily, 2 years later, the mayor changed. And that was the moment when things were better, in a better light for the Viennese people. Now we have a great water quality, and no one talks about that. So I hope you will have a similar future. So if you just continue working, if you just wait for the right timing, you might be the Edward Seuss of the future for sustainability. And how can that be? Because we were talking about social life, we were talking about affordability, and we tried to give you some feedback when we visited your homes, your projects. So I would like to get a little bit into what did we really mean? Because you were so diverse. You brought a lot of different experiences, legal strains and economic situations on the table, which you addressed well. But there should be also a common ground. What do we really mean with affordability and viability? So I tried to bring some examples for you, which are not my project, but we try to share those examples so the others don't have to invent the wheel again. And I want to also highlight, this is a conference room where the Urban Innovative Action gathers together and tries to find solutions for urban problems. And they have exactly the same situation like we have here. We do not have a common language or understanding what affordability and social viability means. Everyone tackles the issue a little bit different, and somehow we don't have the criteria to compare and really learn from each other. So here's the attempt to bring bits of your solutions together in a topic, so hopefully it's beneficial for us all, and that we have a common ground to develop from here further and really work collectively on the same parameters to improve the lives of everyone. So I said already, the important point is to find the right timing, right constellation of people, and right ideas, and make it all-inclusive. I think that's not my last presentation, but that's also fine. So I will skip a few slides. So this is us, and we are urban planners, communication specialists, filmmakers, kids, architects, designer, and theater specialists. So we are very diverse, and that makes it easier for us to look at projects, places, from very different angles. So that would address the situation or the challenge to bring the right constellation on projects. And what we do is we open spaces to people. So if there is a group of people, or we try also to form this group of people, we try to make sure, no matter what their financial resources are, that they have access to space so they can make something together. The second topic, very important for us, is we activate old, important places like squares, markets, city halls, public spaces, and so on. And when we work with commercial organizations, then we pay attention that we support the social entrepreneur and not the for-profit organizations. So this is a choice we do, and I think it's a big step to choose whom are you enabling to space, to financial affordability, and sustainability. And how do we do that? We try to bring people from different levels, different expertise together at the table and make sure they meet each other on eye level. It's not easy. No mayor wants to sit together with a homeless person and discuss what to do with a space. It's very challenging, but the honest communication on eye level is for us the key. We did a lot of participatory processes, and we figured out it's not the ideas, it's not the needs of people, it's even not the resources they have. It's about how to organize people to succeed, to tackle challenges. So that brought us to our research topic, which is how can we ensure that we have a cooperative city where people help each other, where people who have space can enable and open it up to people who need it. How can we make sure that those who have money can invest it in something which is ethical, which is not exploiting people? So this cross-European research is published, and you got the publication also. And since the cases explode, we turned it in a magazine, so you can find also the examples which are growing. And if you have any ideas, just let me know. So you have a source digitally available for everyone, and there you can find out how others did this cooperative city. This is an example from Vienna. I told you that we are also talking with the decision makers. In Vienna, the decision makers, through a very long process, decided to dedicate certain plots in the development area for certain kind of architecture. And this one, Bikes and Rails, is a co-housing project which is financed with crowdfunding. So all the people who wanted to do something meaningful with their project, with their money, could invest here. They get a little bit return on investment, but they know their money is not in a bank, it's not open for speculation. They know they are supporting a sustainable project which cares about the society. So, one example. We have been visiting a lot of projects here where the common space was somehow furnished, somehow designed, and it was a collective approach to these community spaces, that everything is possible in those spaces. But since we are talking about social change, transformation, it might be good to give a little bit input for this transformation, that we accompany this a little bit. So this is the Sargfabrik example, again a co-housing project, Miss Sargfabrik, the second one. And they dedicated very expensive square meters in the second and third floor for common use. So you have in eye contact, in visible to each other, eating, dining place, a working and library. You have on top the common kitchen and below the washing place and sitting where people can work with kids or on their projects. Why is that important? Why do I put it here? I think it's not only the space, but also saying cooking, washing can be combined with other things, can bring us together. So it's a bold statement how we level up our not-so-pleasant activities and make something collective about it and make it enjoyable, make it visible for each other, and combine tasks like library with washing and so on, so you have an effective time investment. So, another example, there are a lot of examples which are all heritage reuse. Here we looked on 16 cases of heritage, industrial heritage. How can we make it open for everyone? So it's open heritage. That means open for everyone, not only the people who pay a rent or a kind of like entry fee, like in a museum. It's really open. They have functions for everyone. So we made case studies. There are written ones. There are films. So we aim in our work to open up the content to a wider audience. So everyone can choose, what do I want from future? This is an example from Sweden. It's very much related to the topics you mentioned in your cases. So it was an old building dedicated for elderly, and Helsingborg bought the building and wanted to make an elderly home out of it. So the aim was, and the approved budget was, total renovation. What happened? Refugee crisis 2015. The city said, very nice, I want to give you the money, but now you have to solve my problem. Find place for the refugees. So they experimented for 3 years to host refugees. They learned their lessons, and then they came up with an idea how to bring the original plan, bringing elderly people in this place, but also solving their problem of loneliness. So their formula was to bring 60%, occupy 60% of the units with elderly people, 20% with people who would like to live affordable, and 20% refugees who are not minors anymore. And the reason behind, they didn't want to have any institutions. So they did a participatory process to make sure that these different groups with very different needs, but the same problem of loneliness, come together and live together. So there are apartments from 30 to 50 square meters. There are singles, there are pairs. But the most important part is the 74 people have an extra space of 580 square meters, where they can play, where they can party, where they can watch movies, where they can sew. And that is possible because the living space is small and the places are spread over the building everywhere. And it's also possible because they did minimal renovation. So they used furniture again. They didn't replace the things which were still working. They really did minimal renovation. And the innovation part here was, Helsingborgham is a social housing. So normally you wait 9 years to 15 years for a social housing. They announced that they are only a project, only an experiment, so they could really select who are those elderly, who are those young people, who are those refugees. So they brought people together which were very different from each other, so they could try, experiment to live together. And that is a very different and detailed plan to implement what you had in mind, and I think it could work as a role model. Another issue which was very often the topic in your cases is affordable is good, but if I don't have any money, if my work, my industry is not anymore, how can I pay in the end? Because in the end, also affordable costs something. So we do a lot of collaborations with former industrial areas, and the problem is that all those working possibilities are pushed out of the cities, which is really difficult. So we have to make sure in our urban transformation processes also that we have affordable places for production, for creation, for selling, and so on. So this is one of the things which I would really recommend you to look into as well in your projects. Another very important point is, of course, we can just finance with the incomes, the mortgage, the construction materials, and investors' money. But how about that we do a little bit redistribution and empower those who need a little bit more support so they can afford the affordable? So Largo Residencias is one of those heritage buildings where they have combined a hostel with a cafe, which is pay as you wish, and arts productions. And yeah, it's a kind of working again with the tourist industry, working against the gentrification and make certain things available for the local residents also in future. Another issue is also, where are all the human resources we have on site when you enter a place? A lot of you worked on Mirker. What are the skills of the people? What are the specialties of people? What can they do well? So in this project in Rotterdam, the artists worked with the unemployed population around the market, and they figured out, oh, there are so many skilled people, especially women, who can cook very well. And because the backgrounds are so diverse, it's like world cuisine on a very high level. So they brought all those people together to open up a catering system, which makes affordable really affordable because you earn money. So the challenges are always, how can we make sure that citizens can access spaces? How can we ensure that they can develop within the spaces and really have footing in this place? How can we make the relationship between public administration and private sector better and closer? How can we make sure that what we create is also possible in future? How can we access capital? How can we work with the regional differences and learn from each other? So I will skip that, so we are a little bit... In these regards, we have a little bit the support need also from decision makers, especially from public administrations. They do not have the freedom to choose very often. They have a lot of obligations, a lot of rules. It's very important to work closely with them and make sure that they see the potential and the benefits for their society. And we know it works. In the Agora project, we support a lot of cities along the Danube with tools, ideas, processes, financial means, models, to make sure that they can make the most out of vacant places, underused places, or unused places. So it's very connected to your task here. And we can say the municipalities need also all your creative ideas to really open up the Pandora's box to be really a good stakeholder in this process. In the housing project, we look on the capacities which housing has for our society. We look on how encountering with others, living with others, spending time with others could help us with our integration, synergy, and growing together agenda. So we know that it's very, very hot topic, and it's unfortunately also political, but we see that organizations and communities which manage that well, the integration through housing, they can really thrive. It makes a big difference for a neighborhood if the free time in the housing complex helps us to live better together. Another issue is also that we have the different perspectives, especially from people who are not specialists on all those topics, like residents, especially youngsters. So in special justice, we try to work with youngsters to tell them that how the space is organized says a lot about the community, and they can change it. The space around is all made by us. And every person, also youngsters, minors, can change the place. So this is my last slide. This all comes together no matter if we have the decision makers, the architect, the designer, the financer, or the people, the neighbors. If we say, we design, we do the things for humans, then a good measure, if we do a good job, is to look, do we have a win-win situation for everyone? If we do, then it might be that our project is approved. Is it really future-proof? Can people afford it also in future? Is it accessible for a very wide range of people? And does it really strengthen the civil society? Those are plus for your project. What you should avoid is feeding into the speculation and growing insecurities and make sure that the monopolies grow even better. And why do I say that? Why is it important to work for the people, not because I think I'm religious or so that you have to be a good person. The situation is we have 1% of the population which has all the means, and 99% has to be very careful with money. Some more, some less. So in terms of scalability of your project, with whom does it make sense to work? Obviously with the 99%. And that is the bottom line. If we don't work with the wide mass of people, we can't never ever be sustainable. Thank you for your attention.
Bahanur Nasya and Anne Lacaton are two of the 3 jury members for the Affordability and Viability Award. Unfortunately, Professor Dr. Guido Spaß was not able to make it. But before we start, dear visitors, ladies and gentlemen, stunning teams, who wants to win some awards? Aha! Great! So, in order to announce the 3rd place, oh, by the way, I have seen that the jurors have had the guided tours yesterday, right? Because I saw the stories on Instagram. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Isabel. So you can stay updated. Announcing the 3rd place. Anne Lacaton, please welcome back on stage.
First of all, thank you very much for all the teams. You have really made an impressive work, impressive presentations, all this in a very happy mood. So that was very pleasant to visit all of you. And we have really much appreciated the clarity of your projects, of your explanations. We have really enjoyed a very friendly atmosphere in the campus. And it's clear that the campus should really be a core and a push for the cities, for the developers, for all those who are in charge of building or urban planning. It should be really a call that they should not only enjoy to come and to see students' works, but also they should take the responsibility and give much more opportunities to work, to ask you to work in the reality. And it's not absolutely not normal that we have to wait so long after finishing our study to start doing something. So it's really something that we should face politicians, developers, in front of this responsibility. If you enjoy today, you should ask today, and not in the far future. So now just to come to the awards, it was really, really difficult to choose because, in fact, all of you, they did so seriously the work, and you were so much committed in this issue of affordability, social viability. But we had to define the 3 awards. It doesn't mean that the other ones are not good. It just means that at one moment we have to make a choice. So I have the pleasure to announce the award, the 3rd of this series, the 3rd award, which is Grenoble. So, congratulations. I just read the comments of the jury that we have written for you. The Grenoble team addresses a very important topic, which is the reuse of a category of buildings, tourist facilities, which have lost their use due to major climate changes, which have also caused important economic changes on the territories. The affordability of your project lies first in the intelligent and accurate reuse of existing structures and their potential, in the way to minimize the interventions to bring them into a new use. Secondly, it is replicable to many others comparable situations, as you pointed out. The cost study of the project is very detailed and shows your work of optimization of the construction and optimization of the technique to make the project feasible and reproducible. The commuting aspects need a little more attention in terms of social, environmental, and economic sustainability, but no doubts that with the further time of development, you will really think to that. The project develops the principle of a community and participative project. It starts from the inhabitants, who become the operators of the project through the creation of a cooperative. It implies a direct responsibility of the users, which guarantees the affordability and the quality of housing and the long-term quality and vitality of the community. In addition, the project becomes the driving force for the reactivation of a small town, of villages that are fairly close to large city, which has lost their activity, and in the longer term, it could also launch the start of a positive and sustainable densification process of these places. It remains a challenge to settle here families, but you know it, with minor aged kids due to the daily commuting distance. So many qualities, a little things to improve, but congratulations. Okay. Voilà.
Thank you. Now, tension is rising. We're very much looking forward to the second place. Bahanur Nasya, welcome back.
No. I think we all get a little bit nervous, and I'll make it very short. The second prize was also very difficult to come to conclusion, because as said, you all did a great job. But there is a second prize which we have to honor now. The team worked on neighborhood scale, and that was very convincing for us. They worked with the people. They wanted to give something for the people, and therefore the second prize goes to Düsseldorf. Very good job. Thank you, actually, for the great example. So we like it a lot that you address in your project the neighborhood scale as that, with services. The Düsseldorf team has made a convincing and well-structured analysis, and they took relevant aspects in their consideration to achieve affordability and viability. You all explained very well how this project can work in detail. The amount of rent was clear, the additional costs, they all remained affordable for the target group. The project is based on the research of economical construction systems which are efficient and affordable, and they have simple modules which can be replicated. They reduce the cost of construction and time for the construction. For the social viability, the open space analysis was very good and created good ideas for the neighborhood. The project is supported by the cooperation with an organization like Insel e.V. and you all wanted to have a district manager placed in your new construction. We found that very good. That's the reason why I got the second prize.
And now let's have a look at the highlight. First place this year, Solar Decathlon Europe on the Solar Campus in Wuppertal for the Affordability and Viability Award. Both of the jurors are going to announce the winner. Please come back on stage. Bahanu Nasya and Anne Lacaton.
Can I say just a word to start? So now it's about the first prize, but first I think you all won the prize of sympathy and commitment. Congratulations. But now the first prize.
You also won our hearts, but I think that you can take home. But yeah, still. The first prize goes to a team which tackled the issue of our building culture, which is a little bit wasteful. So the first prize goes to TU Delft. Very well done. I think they are happy. So we found the project very affordable because, as Anne explained, we have to play and work with what is existing. And the culture in Netherlands is to tear down what is not nice anymore. So we found it very, very inspiring and replicable that you work with what is existing. So the current building culture in Netherlands with demolishing existing buildings is not sustainable at all. We liked it a lot that you are addressing this culture. We believe collectively that you approach this problem very well. We liked especially as well that you are addressing the affordability topic for the group which is just not included in social housing, for instance. Oh. So they targeted a group which is just on the border of needing help from the state. So that we found very sustainable in economic ways. Then, also working with existing building stock and improving them is a very clever idea and way of improving our society and social life. The project implements a very rational construction system that allows for both extensions and improvements at the same time. They combine also renting and buying housing. So, social viability.
The mix of renting and selling apartments will for sure also bring a diversity to the neighborhood, which can increase the social coherence and the belonging feeling in the society in the long run. The jury was also won over by the idea of scaling the approach in this project, in particular the use of vacant buildings for tenants to move between locations. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Voilà.
The teams, Aura and Mimo, please join us on stage again to have a group picture. Congratulations, teams Aura, Mimo, and Som. This was the Affordability and Viability Award. Today, we'll have additional live music and live performances, so please feel invited to enjoy the further day with us. And of course, if you'd like to, we're very happy to see you again tomorrow to announce the next winners of the next award. Thank you very much. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye.